Imagine this. A charming stranger smiles at you in a coffee shop. They're polite, charismatic, even kind. But what if behind that smile lies the mind of a serial killer? What makes someone like Ted Bundy or Jeffrey Dahmer kill not just once, but over and over again? It's a question that's haunted us for decades, and today we're diving deep into the chilling psychology of serial killers. Stick around, because what you're about to learn might change how you see the world. Hi, welcome to Cold Signal, where we unravel the darkest corners of the human mind. If you're as fascinated by true crime and criminal psychology as I am, hit that subscribe button and let's get started. Serial killers aren't just the stuff of horror movies, they're real, and they walk among us. According to the FBI, there could be 25 to 50 active serial killers in the US at any given time. That's a terrifying thought, right? But what drives these people to commit such unthinkable acts? Is it a twisted brain, a traumatic childhood, or something we can't even comprehend? In this video, we'll explore the psychology behind serial killers, break down real cases, and answer the question, what makes them tick? Here's what we're covering today. What is a serial killer, and what sets them apart? Psychological traits that fuel their crimes. Real-life examples, like Ted Bundy and Aileen Wuornos. And finally, can we stop serial killers before they strike again? If any of that sounds intriguing, let's dive in. And hey, if you have your own theories about what drives serial killers, drop them in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts. First things first. What exactly is a serial killer? The FBI defines a serial killer as someone who commits 2 or more murders in separate events. It's a cooling-off period in between. This isn't your average crime of passion. These are calculated, deliberate acts. But here's what makes serial killers so fascinating and terrifying. They don't just kill once. They keep going, driven by something deep inside. Unlike mass shooters, who act in a single event, or spree killers, who strike in a short burst, serial killers are patient. They plan, they stalk, they strike, and then they disappear sometimes for months or years. Think of someone like the Zodiac Killer, who taunted police with cryptic letters, or Dennis Rader, the BTK killer, who terrorized Wichita for decades. So what separates these people from the rest of us? Let's look at the psychology. When we talk about serial killers, one word comes up a lot: psychopathy. But what does that mean? Psychopathy is a personality disorder marked by a lack of empathy, shallow emotions, and manipulative behavior. Studies show that about 1% of the population has psychopathic traits, but not all psychopaths become killers. So what pushes some over the edge? Let's break it down into 3 key factors: biology, environment, and choice. Research from the University of Wisconsin-Madison found that some serial killers have abnormalities in their brains, particularly in the prefrontal cortex, part that controls impulse and empathy. For example, a 2017 study showed that psychopaths often have reduced activity in this area, making it easier for them to harm others without guilt. But it's not just the brain. Genetics might play a role too. A 2014 study in Sweden found that violent behavior can have a hereditary component. So, are serial killers born with a murder gene? Not exactly. It's more like a predisposition that needs a trigger. Now, let's talk about nurture or the lack of it. Many serial killers have traumatic childhoods. Take Aileen Wuornos, one of America's rare female serial killers. She grew up in an abusive home, was abandoned by her parents, and faced unimaginable hardship. By the time she killed her first victim in 1989, her life was a spiral of pain and rage. The FBI's Behavioral Analysis Unit says about 50% of serial killers report childhood abuse, physical, emotional, or sexual. But here's the thing. Not everyone with a rough childhood becomes a killer. So what's the difference? This is where it gets murky. Some experts argue that serial killers make a conscious choice to kill. They're not robots. They plan their crimes, sometimes for years. Take Ted Bundy, who confessed to over 30 murders in the 1970s. He was charming, educated, and had every opportunity to live a normal life. Yet he chose to kill. Why? Bundy himself said he felt a compulsion he couldn't resist. So, it's not just biology or environment, it's a deadly mix where choice plays a role. But what drives that choice? Let's look at some real cases to find out. To understand serial killers, we need to look at their stories. Let's start with Ted Bundy, one of the most infamous serial killers in history. Bundy was the all-American gala student, good-looking, charming. But between 1974 and 1978, he killed at least 30 women across the U.S. What drove him? Psychologists say Bundy had a mix of psychopathy and narcissism. He saw his victims as objects, not people, and craved control. In a chilling interview, he described killing as possessing his victims. Bundy's case shows how serial killers can hide in plain sight. He used his charm to lure victims, proving that danger doesn't always look dangerous. Now, let's talk about Aileen Wuornos, whose story is more complex. Between 1989 and 1990, she killed 7 men in Florida, claiming self-defense. Her abusive childhood and life as a sex worker left her deeply scarred. Was she a cold-blooded serial killer or a victim of circumstance? Psychologists argue she had borderline personality disorder and intense rage, driving her to kill. Wuornos' case reminds us that serial killers aren't one-size-fits-all. Her story sparks debate. Can trauma justify murder, or is it still a choice? What do you think? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'm curious to hear your take. So why don't serial killers stop after one murder? The answer lies in their psychology. For many, killing becomes an addiction. Dr. Helen Morrison, a forensic psychologist, says serial killers get a high from their crimes like a drug. This is why they have cooling-off periods. They're chasing that rush again. Others kill for power or fantasy. John Wayne Gacy, who killed 33 young men in the 1970s, created a persona as Pogo the Clown to lure victims. His killings were part of a twisted fantasy where he was in control. Then there's the mission killer, like the Zodiac, who believed they were ridding the world of evil. These killers justify their actions, making it easier to keep going, no matter the motive. The drive to kill repeatedly is what makes serial killers so dangerous and so hard to catch. Here's the million-dollar question. Can we stop serial killers before they strike again? The good news is, we're getting better at it. Criminal profiling, pioneered by the FBI in the 1970s, has caught killers like Dennis Rader. Profilers use psychology to predict behavior, narrowing down suspects. But prevention is tougher. Early interventional like mental health support for at-risk kids could make a difference, but it's not foolproof. And what about psychopaths who don't show signs until it's too late? Here's a sobering stat. The National Institute of Justice says only 60% of known serial killers are ever caught. That means many are still out there. So, what can you do? Stay aware, trust your instincts, and report suspicious behavior. It might save a life. So, what drives serial killers to murder repeatedly? It's a toxic mix of biology, environment, and choice, wrapped in a mind we're still trying to understand. From Ted Bundy's charm to Aileen Wuornos' rage, each case shows us a different piece of the puzzle. But one thing's clear, the psychology of serial killers is as fascinating as it is terrifying. What did you think of today's video? You believe serial killers are born, made, or both? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read every single one. If you want more deep dives into criminal psychology, hit that subscribe button and tap the bell so you never miss a video. Thanks for watching. Stay safe out there, and I'll see you in the next one.